Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, welcome back to DubLife Diaries. Today's guest is a guy that absolutely keeps the Volkswagen scene alive, not just through cars, but through the stories that he tells and the images that he captures. Eric Arnold has been rolling in his 77 Westfalia since 2003, and that bus isn't just a bus. It's a freaking legend. It's been featured in magazines all over the world. It's stacked up nearly 70 show awards, probably has more road trip stories than a lot of us have memories. Eric's not just driving, though. He's actually documenting the scene as well. He's been photographing Volkswagens professionally for over a decade. And listen to this. To date, he's had over 300 features published. I'm going to say that again. 300 features published. Wow. That's amazing, including 75 covers. Dang, 75 covers. He's also the editor of The Vintage Voice, which is the official magazine of the Vintage Volkswagen Club of America. He's based out of Vegas, travels all over the Southwest, and has a very unique role in the culture. He's not in a club. He's not tied to any one crew. He's neutral. He's friendly with everybody, and that's probably exactly why people trust him to tell the real story of the scene. Let's go. We're talking buses, dubs, photography, VW shows, road trips, and the heart and soul of this culture. Eric Arnold, welcome to DubLife Diaries.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Awesome, man. Yes, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it. Before we get going today, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Paul K, Volksmania magazine. You guys should be seeing issue number 23 hitting the shelves right now. I know there was some delays in the delivery, and I know the East Coast and the hurricane and all that stuff played into it. But either way, shout out to those guys. And then also, shout out to you guys, to Vintage Volkswagen Club of America. I want to say what's up to Jay Brand. You guys are awesome. Jay put me on in the very beginning when I started this podcast and shared this podcast with the crew, the Volkswagen Club of America crew. So, Jay, thank you. And what's up, man? What's up? Hope all's well. Okay. That's all I got, man. Back to you. So if I were to see you at a VW show, how would you introduce yourself to me?
Well, generally, when I'm at a show, I'm working, and I'm working hard. So if I'm introducing myself to somebody, it's probably because I like their car enough to want to feature it or something.
Okay.
So I'm pretty straightforward. So I'm I'm Eric from whatever magazine I'm working for at the time, and I have information about your car. But 95% of the time, people know who I am already. So
yeah, I bet you that happens too.
for me, it's like when I'm walking around the show, I'm like I have a Hobby W T-shirt on or something, so people know that's Eric from Hobby W. So it's people know when I'm around typically.
Yeah, roger that. When somebody says Volkswagen culture, because you know that word, we hear it a lot. It comes quite often. What comes to mind for you when somebody talks about the Volkswagen culture?
Volkswagen culture really is community for the most part. The people in the Volkswagen culture just is what ties it together. It's the cars are the people to me. So without the people, it's nothing. So it's really the people more than the cars.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean in and agree with that. The people make the culture. Right. But it's definitely there, right? There's something there that it's like a commonality, or it's something that we all share.
Yeah, the cars brought us together, right? But it's the people that hold it together. So I spend the time in the hot rod community too, because I'll bring my bus to hot rod shows all the time here in Las Vegas, and the people are great, but it's not the same. It's not the same community of people. Like you meet awesome hot rod people too, but you can tell the community is just not the same as the Volkswagen community.
Yeah, we touch on that. Other folks that have been on the show, they touch on the same thing. There's just something almost unexplainable about our culture, our community in the Volkswagen community. It's unless you're in it, you can experience it yourself. It's really tough to understand because, like some other guests have said in the past, like the Camaros and the Mustangs and they all have groups and whatnot. And those cars have been around for a long time too,
Mhm.
but the people ain't the same. When you show up and they're all congregated, then the Volkswagen people are. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's basically it to me.
Tell me what the difference is. What's life like behind the lens versus behind the wheel?
It's totally different when you're working, like, as a photographer and you're at an event than when you're just at an event as a car owner. So, like, for me, when I'm 99% of the time I'm at an event, I'm working. So, like, I have a job to do.
Right.
Do it again.
You know,
So
I relate to that big time because down here in Central Florida, I've done a few VW shows and they're getting some traction.
yeah, it's a lot. So, like, I know I need to get photos of all these different types of cars. I need to get photos of people. I need to get photos of trophies. I need to get wide shots. Need to get detail shots. I need to get this, this, and this, and this, and this. Like, I need to hit all my points. I have to do this all during the day. I have 10 minutes to eat and I have 5 minutes to sit down. But when you're at a show, to be at a show, like, as a car owner or a spectator, is completely different.
When I've put on a couple shows now, right, as a spectator, you know what it feels like to be there. But when you're in any type of a role that's work related and you're working the event, it almost goes by in such a blink. It's still enjoyable and you still love all the cars and but it's because it's work. It's like, I don't even have time to like shake a hand or it's this fire to this fire to this fire to
Mhm.
because that's show day, right?
Right.
So yeah, so I resonate with that feeling of it's different when you're there for work.
Yeah, it's a completely different mindset than when you're just there as a car owner and you're there to hang out. And
Yeah,
yeah,
nothing to worry about. Nothing to get done. No job to do. That's a good
yeah,
feeling. It's a good vibe.
once you're there and your car is set up and you're just there to hang out, that's awesome. But when you're there to work, completely different.
So, do you remember the exact moment when you fell in love with Volkswagens?
I don't know about the exact moment, but I know that when I first got into it was like I was working way back whenever, and like my buddy Kendall, he was thinking about buying a bus, right? So we started looking at them together, and he's like, "I want to get one of these camper buses, just drive around in and do like camping on the weekends and stuff." So we started looking at them together, and he ended up getting like a '77 camper bus, a green one. And so he would bring it to work and we would just like hang out and whatever. And like he went out of town for a couple weeks and he let me borrow it to drive around because I didn't have a car at the time. And so I drove it around for those couple weeks. I'm like, this is pretty cool. Many years later down the line, I'm like, I had a job where I could save up some money. I'm like, I think I'm gonna maybe get one of those buses so I could do that kind of stuff. And I finally saved up the money and started shopping around. And then I found one of my own. So that's just basically where I started.
Quite literally, you found one of your own, same color, same year, right?
Same year, same color, yeah.
Yeah. The reason why the year sticks out is because it's the year I was born. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, as soon as I see it, I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's my year. That's my year. You made this bus was your daily driver for a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah, for about 12 years, I daily drove my '77 Westfalia bus in Las Vegas, where it's, in the
That's what I
summer,
was.
it's
Yeah, that's what I was going
114
to touch on.
degrees.
So
Um,
I live in Florida, and it's almost so hot here in the summer that driving these cars, it's not really enjoyable. It's hot, dude, like really hot, and I know you can relate to that. So
yeah.
that's what I was going to say was like, what was it like making that your daily driver in the heat of the desert?
Well, my alternative previously was my bicycle, right? So I
Right,
would
better a
ride
bike.
my bicycle.
At
It,
least you avoid the sunburn in the
right.
bus,
So it was still a step up from that.
right?
But, driving around in a toaster basically, 115 degrees every day was,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Wow.
it was a lot, but it was still all right.
Vegas in the late 80s versus now. How has the car culture kind of shifted? What's the scene from the 80s versus now?
Well, I didn't really get into the Volkswagen scene until late, right? So I didn't have my bus until 2003.
Okay.
So I can't really speak to it until then. But like from then until now, it probably hasn't changed a whole lot. Like there's several like Volkswagen clubs in town. I'd say there's probably like 5 or 6 different Volkswagen clubs in town. And back then there was probably like 2 or 3. They don't really do things together, and they didn't then, and they don't now.
Is it because of the population? Dense population where they can have successful events in small areas,
Well,
or is it?
when there's a big event, everybody comes, right?
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah,
Or like when there's a meetup at like the Volkswagen dealership, like a few from each club will go if whoever's available at the time, right? But like nobody does anything in the summer because it's too hot. But like in the winter, like we have like big events in like October, and everybody goes because that's our big event. But if as far as like just hanging out, if one club does their own event, like the other clubs don't go because they're not invited.
gotcha.
There's divides. Who can fix that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it can be fixed really.
Right. I'd
That's
like
what
to think somebody could, but I don't know. Maybe
I
one
think.
day.
Yeah, I think that in the big grand scheme of things, if there's a large, kind of event, I think that the community itself can cluster up and can come together. But I've also felt that same thing where there's like, there's cliques. There's
Oh yeah.
there are small cliques, and I think that's almost to be expected out of such a large culture, such a large community for that to be. But I want to touch on the Westie for just a little bit. Like, tell us about it. Like, what makes it so special? You said nearly 70 awards, featured in 5 different magazines all over the world. Like, I want the listeners to hear about this build.
All right. My bus is about as original as it can be. I bought my bus in 2003 in Flagstaff, Arizona, basically in the middle of the night. So it was pitch dark in this guy's backyard. And I bought it off an ad on the Samba. And back then you could buy buses like super cheap because nobody wanted bay window buses, right? Remember, it was
Right.
back in 2003. Like I went down, like it was super late when we got there. It was dark. I knew nothing about buses. I didn't know what I was looking at really. So we were out there with flashlights trying to look at it and all this stuff. So I bought it and drove it home with my kids in the back.
Cool.
Yeah, it was I probably shouldn't have done it, but I did. Fast forward, right? So now my bus I have fixed it up as much as I can. It's a 77 Westfalia. The paint is probably like 60% original still. The interior is all original. Like the cabinetry inside is probably the most original yet unique that you've seen. So
And is that an Arizona bus? Like, is that where it's been the whole time since it was new?
as far as I can tell, I'm the third owner.
Okay.
Like the bus was imported originally into Jacksonville,
Okay.
but where it went as far as the dealer, I don't know.
Well, typically when you hear about all originals like this, and
Mhm.
that are 50 years old, you hear about them coming from some area of the country that doesn't have a lot of humidity, so there wasn't really ability to deteriorate the cabinet wood or deteriorate, the metal and start rusting.
Yeah, it has
So
very, very little rust on it.
yeah, that's super awesome.
Right. So the cabinet wood, like the veneer, was peeling up. So that's what's different about mine. So I took all the veneer off of mine, and then I like sanded the wood underneath it, and then sealed it. So all my cabinetry is lighter than it's supposed to be.
Okay.
So it has a completely different look. It's all original, but it has a different look than your standard Westie.
That wood they used back then, when you peeled that, that facing or whatever off, is it like a particle board, like glued together stuff, or is it like
Uh,
real
it's
wood?
it's it's 5 layer plywood.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. So when
interesting.
I took that veneer off, I just sanded down that first layer and then I stained it and sealed it.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it's been great ever since.
It's probably eye catching too.
It's very nice actually. So when you open that sliding door and you see that wood, it just really pops.
So
Mhm.
after so many awards, I mean, is this something that are you just expecting to win now? Do you even keep count anymore?
I only keep count because my friends have told me that when I get to 77 awards, I have to stop.
They're like, yeah, save some for the rest of the guys out here, you know?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've been featured in a bunch of different magazines. Did any of the features stand out, one more than others?
That's kind of hard to say. It's been in Hot VW's magazine, Volksworld magazine in the UK, Combi magazine in France. It was on the cover of that magazine. Volkswagen Camper and Commercial magazine in the UK, magazine called Combi, which doesn't exist anymore. That was actually part of the Volksmania lineage way back in the day.
Okay.
Those five. If any of them stand out, I don't know. I guess you would say Hot VWs, but
Okay.
I really like the Volksworld feature. The layout was like super nice.
Any wild stories of something happening around your bus at a show or
If you ask my friends, the best story ever was at Buses by the Bridge several years ago when this overly inebriated man from Texas at about 3 o'clock in the morning decided he couldn't find the porta potty and relieved himself on my bumper.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Yikes.
right.
Did you wake up to this or
Oh, we were still awake. So yeah, we were awake and saw it happen. So
did he think he was in the toilet or something or the
yeah,
toilet?
yeah, he was just standing there and we heard it happening. So
I had a kid when he was 5. He woke up one night, thought he was going to the bathroom. 5, maybe 6, thought he was going to the bathroom, and he was just peeing right in my closet.
wow.
But for a 6-year-old, that's expected, not for an adult.
Yeah, this guy was in his 40s and he had
Yeah, that's wild.
slightly too much
Okay,
chemicals today.
well, that's a wild story.
Yeah, I was a little less than happy. So we'll just put it at that.
After all the years on the bus, what made you jump into the cabriolet world after being a bus guy for so long?
I got my 89 Cabriolet about a year and a half ago now, something like that. We decided I wanted something a little bit different, just drive
Yeah.
around, you know. Las Vegas is a very fair weather place for the most part, except when it's too hot. I don't know, maybe it's my midlife crisis car. I don't know. But yeah, just something different to drive around in. So, like we have a fun water cooled scene here. Like there's some water cooled clubs around, and it's just fun to hang out with those guys too for a change.
Yeah,
And
I was going to ask you about that. If the cabriolet community feels different than the air cooled bus crowd.
yeah, like those guys have their own like style and like their own hangouts and stuff. Like when I rolled up to like the Euro days, like meetup for the first time in the Cabrio, like you should have seen their faces when they saw who was driving that thing because they know me from the bus, right? They're like, "Oh my God, that's Eric, and he's driving a water-cooled Volkswagen." Yeah, it was pretty fun. But yeah, it's a really fun car to drive. Yeah, the water-cooled scene here is quite different than the air-cooled scene, and they do like a ton of mods to their cars, and like everything is like a millimeter off the ground, and they have all these effects and like all the sporty wheels, and yeah, it's a lot of fun to hang out with those guys.
I bet it sounds like it. And I
Mhm.
see, even the air cooled guys, venturing over to, getting some water cooled stuff, some old Golfs and some GTIs. And, you know, I had a Jetta back in the day. I thought that was a cool car in the late 90s. Actually, I think it was 96 was the first year of that new body style. Maybe it was 97 back then. I don't quite remember, but I had one. And yeah, man, Volkswagen does a good job on the water cooled side too. So I think some of the older cars, they're becoming cool. They're becoming collectors, items nowadays. So it's kind of fun. I want to touch on your process for work.
Okay.
When you're shooting cars, you tend to think this about a lot of photographers, especially ones that are, very keen or have a niche like you do with cars or Volkswagen specifically. But what are you looking for What are you looking at when you look through the lens? Are you looking for the background? Are you looking for the car? Is there a certain angle? Like, I mean, gosh, I'm not a photographer, but I just always kind of wonder, like, what does an artist see when they're looking through the lens?
And there's a lot that goes into like a photo shoot, right? Like if I'm arranging a photo shoot, like I'm traveling next week to a Volkswagen event and I'm trying to set up like 4 or 5 photo shoots before I get there. So I have a list of cars that I'm doing, and like I know I need to get 4 or 5 locations set first for these cars. So I need to match up this car with this location. So I need the right location for this car. So the location needs to fit the vibe of the car. So that's step one. And once we get there, like if I'm doing a magazine shoot, there's things that you have to do. So you need the right angles for the magazine. You need all the 3/4 all around the car, front, back, side. You need all the details. You need all the wheels. You need, like, there's a list, like a mental list that you go through. But then you need to use your own vision and say, okay, well, I need to do my own style, right? So what's my vision of this car? And that's when you use your own style and you say, I'm going to set this up or I'm going to set that up based on what I see for this particular car. And no two cars are the same, even
Right.
though it might be a stock 67 bug, whatever red color, right? Even though this red bug I'm shooting now, and I'm going to shoot this red bug later, it's still going to be different.
Right. But
So,
we all know, even though they're the same color, all these cars, they're like hanging out with different people. They're
right.
completely their own thing. So yes,
Yeah,
understood.
it's going to be a different vibe. So I got to
That's
feel
right.
the car out
Right.
and shoot it the way that that car makes sense.
How do you do that? How do you catch that vibe? Do you sit in it? Do you immerse yourself? Do you look at pictures of it and try to feel the vibe? Do you have to drive it? How does that happen for you?
No, never drive somebody else's car unless they ask you to.
Good rule. Good rule.
Yeah, I only sit in the car when I'm photographing it to get like the interior shots. It's mostly talking to the owner
Okay.
just to get the vibe and looking
Yeah.
at the car.
Sure. Okay.
And sometimes the location plays into it too,
Yeah.
because it's how the car plays off the location. And a lot of times the time of day will play into it too, because the lighting and the location can affect how the car looks. So there's a lot
And
of
I,
factors that go into the photo shoot.
and I can appreciate that because as you're saying that, I'm thinking, myself, I'm not a professional photographer by any stretch of any imagination, but I had a 58 Beetle a couple of years back, and St. Petersburg, Florida is known for their large murals that are all over the city. There's 80 of them. I mean,
Um,
yeah, there's a lot of them, and some of them are huge. But that car in bright yellow, looked great in front of murals. It had a great stance. And I take my thing or my wife's Carmen Gia back to those same murals, same time of day, same blue sky or same overcast or same, and they just don't cut it. They just don't do the same thing. So I can kind of sense that some cars look good in some backgrounds and some cars don't. Right.
yeah, it depends on the car. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. So you're friends with seems like everybody, but you're not in any type of a Volkswagen club. Do you
No.
think that's played into, helping your career as a freelance photographer?
That's hard to say, right? You never know. But yeah, I'm not in a club. I try to stay just friendly with everybody, right?
Right. Neutral.
So I make that choice to not be in a club. I've been asked if I want to be in a couple different clubs, and I've just said, I'd rather just be like a tertiary, like side person to everybody.
Right.
So why not just be friendly with every single person that I can be? I don't need to be in a club. I can just like go from this group to this group and just say, hey, what's going on? And just hang out with everybody. I think that being in a club could potentially turn off somebody. So why take the chance? That's kind of how I see it.
Well, it's like kind of shows even more character than not because as a professional, you can't choose a side, right? It's like,
Right.
in a weird way, it's like saying the customer is always right. There has to be a level of professionalism if that's your career, right? So you don't want there to be a side. You don't want to tell people you're, a certain fan of a certain team, because then they might have a reason to say, "Oh, screw that guy," then, right?
Yeah, and I also don't want to be accused of playing favorites to anybody.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate that. Neutral person. As an editor, right? Obviously, vintage voice. We all know it well. We all get it. I get my copy of it. What makes a story worth publishing as an editor? What are you looking for in a story?
For Vintage Voice, we just look for anything that's interesting content, like anything that the club members would find interesting as something to read, right? The Vintage Volkswagen Club of America is not the biggest club in the world, but we do have a pretty strong membership.
How many members are there?
There's a ton of free members, and there's a pretty strong number of what we call pro members.
Yeah,
And the pro members are the people that get the printed magazine. Free
that's right.
members get the magazine like in a digital form. So I
I'm
actually don't.
happy. I'm happy to be a pro member, and I think everybody should, just to support you guys. And that's what I love about it, is it's treated more like a donation than it is a sale. You know,
Right. Yeah.
and if I ever see that invoice come across, I don't even think twice. I just pay it, because I just feel like that's how it should be in supporting this community.
Right. I think we do like 500 printed copies. So there's somewhere around 400 or 500 pro members, and there's thousands and thousands of free members. So
That's awesome, man. It really is, and it's great. I love it. I love the stories. I love the pictures. I love the. It's kind of like a hardback, folder. It feels like it's nice and heavy.
yeah, it's heavy cardstock. It's like super cardstock.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
And we're always looking for people to contribute to Vintage Voice because the people that do it are all volunteers. Nobody gets paid. Not
Right.
not me. Like I've been doing it for 8 years now, and I haven't got paid a penny. So, but like Heinz, our historian, and like Jake Raby, and like Bill Unger, and like Mike Epstein, who was doing it forever and just passed away recently. But nobody made a penny like working on Vintage Voice. Like everybody's a volunteer. But like if you go to a show or want to send in photos and like a quick story about the show or something, we'd be happy to publish it in Vintage Voice.
There you go. There you have it, guys. Get your shows out there.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you about this feeling, because my personality type doesn't let me feel this way, but I always, somebody in your position, I would always like to ask this. For larger influence style people of the scene, or certain cars, like very famous cars in the scene, you ever get starstruck seeing any of these folks in our culture today?
Nope.
Nope.
Not
Yep.
know that.
Me either. I see people. I'm like, even big time celebrities I've met in my life. I feel the same way. I'm like, man, they're just people, man. It ain't no big deal. And I think that's just always how I've been.
Just another guy, just another lady. It's just I've met so many people. I've photographed so many cars. I've met so many builders. Like we're all just people. Like we're all
Yeah,
just doing our thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm happy to meet you. And like we're all happy to meet each other. And we're all just out here like enjoying our Volkswagens. And let's just keep doing it.
Yes, let's keep doing it.
Mhm.
Now, you spent a lot of time in Cali.
I do.
Obviously a lot of time in Arizona as well. Is there a difference in Arizona dub scene and Cali dub scene?
Sure. Of course there is. The Arizona Volkswagen scene is awesome, for one. The, but it's crazy hot in Arizona from like May until October. So there's not much to do unless it's like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Too
So,
hot.
so it shuts down for like 6, 7 months out of the year. In
And I
California,
gotta tell you, I feel like that should be Florida, right? But like we all, it's so hot year round down here. We all are just like, man, let's just grin it and bear it and go. But then we
right?
go, we
In,
go. If it's anything past
uh,
February-ish, the whole show is complaining how hot it is or whatever. So I totally feel that.
Yeah, but in Arizona, you just can't. But in California, like especially Southern California, you just go. Like there's something to do almost every weekend. There's shows upon meets, upon like hangouts. There's something to do all the time. There's always something on the calendar. That's why like LA and San Diego and like Southern California as a whole was always seen as the mecca of Volkswagens. Like there's a reason for it. So,
Yeah, right. Major culture coming out of there. I've had a couple guys from California on, definitely a different, more of a together scene, it feels like to me, than it is the cliquish type. But
oh,
lots of
yeah,
mixed cars, air cooled, water cooled,
yeah, yeah.
Volkswagen culture. Yeah.
And just per capita, there's so many Volkswagens there.
Yes,
And
yes, that's
so
gotta have
many
something.
people there in general, and there's just a ton of Volkswagens. So yeah.
Any road trip breakdowns? Any oh crap moments? Anything worthy of sharing?
As much time as I spend on the road, I've been pretty lucky. But yeah, I've had a few. My last one was probably coming back from a camp out I did with one of the local clubs here, the Against the Rest Volkswagen Club down at Temple Bar, which is on Lake Mead. I was coming back from that, and like my fuel injection dual relay went out. So that means my whole fuel system went out, and I had to get towed back from that, unfortunately. So I AAA'd back from that one. But
Sure.
thankfully, that wasn't too far. It was only like an hour away, so that wasn't terrible.
In the bus?
In the bus, yeah. It was a camp out, so of course I took the bus.
Yep, yep, yep.
Other than that, like what I was driving the bus up to the Utah VW Classic one year, and I had just done like an oil change like the day before. I think I was in a hurry, and I think I overfilled the oil by like a quart. So I was like a third of the way there, and oil started spewing everywhere all over the engine. I'm like, what did I do? What did I do? It's smoking everywhere. And I went back there and I was like trying to clean up all the oil, and I finally figured out what I did. So I just like drained a little bit of the oil out, and I was fine after that. So it wasn't like super catastrophic.
What do you think younger generations are bringing to the VW culture today? You probably can see it a lot because you're out in the public eye a lot.
Yeah, and Air Mighty magazine just did an issue that featured a whole bunch of younger builders, which was really cool. And like in that issue, I had a feature of this builder named Brighton from up in Salt Lake City. He's 23 and he built a 54 oval, like in his own shop, right? And he built
Wow.
it himself. Yeah, so he's like this up and coming young builder that's trying to open his own restoration business.
Awesome.
And he did this like amazing build of the Strato Silver oval window. And like that's the kind of stuff that we need, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to meet him. Like to have him on the podcast, man. You got to love, number one, the entrepreneurial spirit, especially coming out of a 23-year-old,
Right.
and then also somebody else that would pick that, to do instead
Right.
of all the other things, that are out there and somewhat attractive to a 23-year-old. Very cool. Very cool to hear that. Good stuff.
Yeah, and up at the Utah Classic, they give out like a special award to someone like 25 or younger that brings a car to a show. It's like best young build, right?
Yeah.
Someone that builds a car with their own like faculties. So like stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that we need to see in the scene. I think like something specifically geared towards younger people to give them a spark to keep going.
I like it.
Yeah.
And I agree too. And I love when I see that, I've had a couple other folks that have been on that, say things like, I don't even want to win awards, anymore. We want the new guys coming in, we want them to be, winning these shows. And because that's what kept us all coming back, all through the 90s and so on. But, yeah, good stuff. How about a favorite event? Maybe I won't even use the word favorite. What's an event that stands out to you that you really never miss.
The number one event is Busted by the Bridge. That's the only answer.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. And I see it, and it makes me want to go for sure. If anything, just to hang out with everybody. How cool. What an event. We had a couple of guys from our area that had gone up last year and documented it, shot some video and stuff, and just looked epic, man. It really did. What's so awesome about it?
Well, for me, the number one thing about it, it's where I can see the most amount of my friends all in the same place at the same time.
Okay.
Because everybody comes to that event. It doesn't matter where they live or how long it takes them to get there. They get there. Like the first year I went, there was maybe 100 buses there, and now it's 500, 600. So you can take that however you want.
That's just insane. Now have you heard of and have you seen Bug Jam down here in Dade City?
I've heard of it, of course, and I've seen
Yeah.
photos of it. And
Yeah.
one day I'll get there.
Yeah, we had 800 cars last year. This year, this podcast is actually sponsoring a stereo contest that they're going to have at Bug Jam. Yeah, man, that's a cool show too down here. But I don't want to take any thunder away from Buses by the Bridge. I hear that's the mecca, the top dog. So I'd love to get out there at some point. Outside of cars, how has VW culture shaped who you are?
That's an interesting question. It's like being involved in Volkswagens, right, has made, I would say, made me like open up more as a person. Like I've always been like a super quiet, like reserved kind of person, but being around more of the community and being a photographer in the community has, I wouldn't say forced me to speak to more people. So now
Yeah, well,
I
like they say all the time with these cars, you can't be somebody that doesn't like attention
no,
and driving these cars because you're going to get attention at every red light, every
yeah,
time you park it somewhere and get out and sit by your car. But yeah, it's the same thing with the people, right? They're like, "What's up, man? What's going on?" Right? Like
yeah.
you can't hide, But yeah, that's
So it just naturally you speak to more people than you normally would just as a regular person, right? And especially with the photography thing, so I'm like, I have to speak to more people. Just it's part of the job. So I've become a much more open person than I used to be. So that's a good thing.
cool. Thank you, classic Volkswagens, for for making me more outwardly. If you had to define the soul of VW in one word, what would that be?
No, community, easy.
Community. Good
Yeah.
answer. Community. Looking back now over your life, your career, where you're at, what do you think your younger self in Iowa would say to the self now if he had a chance to say something about your life?
Get ready. It's going to be interesting.
Get ready to rock.
Yeah,
Okay, man, I got some rapid fire questions. These are questions that demand somewhat of a quick response. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, forever car, your Westie or the Cabriolet?
Oh,
Only one.
Westy.
Westie?
Oh yeah.
All right, favorite lens for shooting cars?
My 24 to 72.8 L.
That sounded like Japanese to me.
Right. That's my everyday walking around lens. That'll get the most done with the most range without changing lenses. So
Dream VW that you don't own. That you don't own.
a late bay double cab with a Type 4 fuel injected engine.
Wow, you had that one ready to rock. That's a
That's
cool.
it. It's
That's
on
a
the
cool
list.
truck.
One
Yeah,
day.
that's a cool truck. I like
Mhm.
that. That sounds pretty cool. Air cooled or water cooled?
Air cooled.
Air cooled. Most photogenic VW color.
Anything that's not black or white, velvet green.
My yellow car, I have to tell you, my 58, my yellow Beetle, that thing just looked great pictures, man. It didn't really matter. It made whatever background cool. When you put it up against something with a cool background, like a mural, that
Mm,
car was like electrified. Yeah.
yeah, yellow is good as long as it's in the sun.
Ooh, good call. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. If you weren't shooting cars, what would you be shooting?
Neon signs. I have a thing for neon signs. Yeah.
That's interesting. Let's hear
Well,
about it.
I live
Elaborate a little bit.
I live in Las Vegas, so there's a lot of
Yeah.
neon signs, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I liked going around to, like, older, like, cities on or towns on, like, Route 66 and taking the pictures of old signs. That's just one of the things I do, so
No, that's actually really, really cool. Some of the coolest artwork that you see on the walls of, the most elite things out there, artwork meaning are pictures of road signs that are just,
right.
the backdrop Arizona and it's this, crazy cliff wall or yeah, man, cool. I vibe with that.
Yep.
VW food at the events. Do you fancy any?
Like, if there's food trucks around,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm probably gonna go tacos.
Tacos, yeah. Me too. And when I just had my event, that's what I did. We had one of the vendors that come was like South African vibe food. And there was the South African tacos that me and my wife got they were so good, man. I'm a taco guy myself.
I would try
Uh,
that.
Best city in the country for photography.
Whatever city I'm in at the time.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer. Very neutral.
I can make anything work.
Yeah, I like that. All right. One word to describe VW people.
Family.
Family.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah. What would be if somebody was maybe interested in a life of photography, maybe even photography for classic Volkswagens? What would you tell somebody that maybe just finishing college or just finishing, trade school to become a photographer or whatever? What would you tell somebody that might want to get into the scene now and be a photographer and be successful at it on classic Volkswagens like you?
Well, step 1 is to practice, right? Get out there and start shooting. It doesn't matter what camera you have, what your gear is, just get out there and start. Like, you're not gonna get any better if you don't practice. So get out there, go to every show, talk to everybody there, and just start taking photos. That's it.
And where can people find you if they want to see your work? I know the bulk of our community knows exactly who you are and where to find you, but you may inspire somebody by this episode. So where can they come and see your work? Where can they find you online?
All right. I am pretty easy to find. I have a website. It's ericarnoldphotography.com. I have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Eric Arnold Photography. On Instagram, I am Eric Arnold Photo. And I am even on X at Eric Arnold Photo.
Excellent. That's where they can find you. And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome. Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.